Greetings everyone, I am Dr. J. It's been a while since I posted much of anything, so I figured that after I had actually gotten a video out, I owed an explanation. And since it's also been a while since I've done an update video, let's get two birds with one stone. The last time I did an update video, I was talking about how I had just graduated from college and was working on finding a job. It opened up a decent amount of time for me to put out regular content, but after a while I ended up slipping on my self-imposed weekly schedule. The problem I was having with it was ironically the same problem I had when I was in college. The perception of having all the time in the world, when in reality your time is far more limited than you might want to admit. That meant I kept pushing back when I would actually work on videos, rushed them out at the last minute, and eventually reached a point where I had a video that couldn't be completed by the deadline and took the schedule down with it. Since then, I have at least found a job and mostly gotten myself stable, but in the back of my mind I was kind of hoping that having my time restricted by said job would force me to keep a consistent schedule. Of course, that would also be contingent on me not wanting to relax once I got home, or more specifically not being lazy after that. So when push comes to shove, the lack of content is really on me for being lazy, which I'm of two minds about. On one hand, I don't want to burn myself out by throwing too much time into the hobby, especially if I can feasibly start doing this full time. On the other hand, there's gotta be a middle ground where I can keep from going 1 to 2 months in between uploads. That being said, I have at least had an excuse within the last 3 weeks or so, as my job required me to move halfway across the country, which, as you can expect, threw all sorts of wrenches in the way of actually finishing a video. Before releasing the last one, namely the Halo review, I actually had the game done for a month or two before I even had audio I was happy with. Purely because every waking moment was spent either preparing for the move, on the move itself, or trying to distract myself from it. Still, given that said video is now up, things have mostly calmed down, though at the time of recording, I'm still waiting on some of my things to get here. Still, for the sake of my day-to-day life, things have calmed down and I'm hoping to have more content out in the next couple of weeks. Before I go into long-term plans, let's talk about what to expect in the here and now. The next video I'm going to be putting out will be a bit unusual for this channel, which means it'll either get zero attention or all of it. Honestly, given the subject matter, I'm not sure which I would prefer, but here's a brief overview either way. A couple of years ago, my brother came across a TV show that is infamous due to its fan base, and ended up becoming a fan of the show himself. He didn't pressure me into seeing it, thank God, but after I encouraged him to play Undertale, he agreed to play it and to allow me to record the chicanery that ensued, if I would do the same for the first season of this unnamed show. That then turned into an ongoing deal that for every season I watched, he would play a game of my choosing, which means I've got all sorts of leverage and potential content to tap into in case I want something more lighthearted. Naturally, by this point, I've seen all but some of the most recent episodes, and after forcing myself to go through with it, I'm going to be doing a video on the subject, examining the show with the intent of trying to figure out why the fandom formed in the first place. The audio is ready to go and I've made really good progress on the video portion, which means I should have the completed video out at some point in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm shooting for it to be sooner than that, as I've already tackled some of the more editing intensive portions, but given how long it's taken for me to just get to this point, I'm not making any promises. After that video is uploaded, I've got another video planned around a topic I keep repeating in my videos, including the one I just mentioned. Specifically that it's okay to be generic or predictable, so long as what you're doing is well executed. It'll give me an excuse to harken back to older topics, and will hopefully mean that I repeat myself less in future videos. After that, I would like to have another game review ready, but the games I've been working on are very long-winded. If I went hard to the paint on one of them, I could probably have it ready by the time both of those videos are finished, as while I haven't made much progress lately, it's something that is attainable by the time those 2 videos will be finished. After that, I'll probably aim for something shorter to review, which at this point is likely to be either another first-person shooter because I can't seem to do anything but, or maybe if I'm feeling masochistic, I'll find a platformer or puzzle game worth looking into. If you have any suggestions for either of those 2 genres, I'd be more than happy to hear them. So that's what you can expect in the short term, and with that squared away, here are my long-term plans for the channel. I want to eventually get back to releasing a review every 2 or 3 weeks, as the reviews are where I do my best work, and I suspect most of you watching are here because of them. In between there, I want to try doing more editorial style videos, with the video I just mentioned acting as an experiment in that regard. I've had a lot of ideas floating around that would make good videos, but every time I've sat down to do them, it feels like there's something missing or I haven't quite thought something all the way through. At this point, however, I think self-reflection has taken me about as far as it can. If I want to improve, I'm going to need to get my hands dirty and not let the perfect get in the way of the good. and since my channel is a small one, I do have a lot more room to breathe and experiment than I would otherwise, so I may as well do this kind of thing now while I still can. That should keep me busy for the near future, but in time I want to try and expand on that. For one thing, now that I'm on my own and should be financially stable within the next couple of weeks, I want to get a proper gaming PC to replace the microwave I've been using for the last few years. I'm not sure what I want to replace it with yet, though for my current purposes it won't be difficult to find something workable for about $1,000 or less by my understanding. The graphics card might be difficult to find unless the crypto mining bubble bursts sometime within the next few months, but I'm sure I'll get it to work out by the time I'm ready to put money down. At this point I'll probably replace everything, as I would like to use the old machine as either a rendering device or a means to test game performance. More to the point, I've had issues getting some older games to working in Windows 10, so if I can revert my current PC to Windows 7, that will allow me an easy way around the problem. I already have enough fun dual booting between Windows and Linux. I don't need to compound things by triple booting on a single machine. However, the real reason for getting a more powerful machine will mean that I can do more than just focus on older games, but also set my sights on newer ones as well. Doing so could be a meaningless chase for relevance depending on your outlook, but for smaller games like Hob and Into the Breach, I had a lot of fun going through those and showcasing them on my channel, and I'd love to do that with other games as well. Beyond that, a more powerful PC would also allow me to try and address something else that's been bothering me for a while. A while back, Steam went from effectively opening the floodgates to actually opening the floodgates to anyone that wants in, barring illegal stuff and developers acting in bad faith. After seeing how they've gone about doing that, I have very few complaints, or at least complaints directed towards Valve. My frustration in this matter is reserved for a certain part of the games industry which has taken to complaining rather than acting, because apparently all they're good for is yelling about how Steam isn't acting as a content curator when their entire jobs focus around pointing out the good and bad within the industry. Still, as much fun as it is to lambaste game journalists for their failings, to where that may or may not be an editorial video in the works, it doesn't feel right for me to say anything unless I'm also willing to do something myself. The Steam Indie Showcase video I did a while back was an early attempt at it, and even if it might not be the most popular content, I think it's something worthwhile if it can get enough traction. Part of this will also be contingent on another idea I had, specifically to start live streaming. It's something I've thought about doing for a while, as I used to make Let's Plays for the games I reviewed to give anyone interested an idea as to how I came to my conclusion. The problem is that doing so was incredibly time consuming, as not only did I have to go through and play the game, I also had to sit down and spend that same amount of time plus change to look over the footage, synchronize the video and audio, do some basic editing on top of that, publish those videos, and then I could actually make the review, which as you might expect was not a good use of my time. However, if all I have to worry about is the prep time required for setting up a stream, that could fulfill a similar function, giving me a means to stay honest as to how much I'm playing a game I want to review, and allowing you as the viewer to see me come to my conclusion firsthand. It'll also give me an out for when I want to do something more lighthearted, like those Heroes of the Storm highlight videos I used to make back when I was doing the weekly schedule and wanted something less serious. The majority of these plans, however, are contingent on having more powerful hardware, which might be feasible before the year is out, but which I don't anticipate being able to do until after the holidays. So for now, my goal will be to finish the 2 videos I mentioned before the end of October, keep making progress toward the next review, and hopefully afterwards get to the point where I can put out a review once every 2 or 3 weeks again. That's the plan for now, and knowing me, I probably won't hold to all of it, but I think it's a good step in the right direction, and I'm looking forward to the next year and all the fun that it'll inevitably bring. For now, thank you all for watching. Let me know of any games I should look into reviewing, as well as any and all thoughts you have in the comments below, and I'll see you all later.